Being at HBCU was the best time of my life. It is the place where I've met some of my greatest friends, learned so much about myself. And I think that at HBCU, I would not ever take that experience back. And that's why I'm always so quick to go back for homecoming. I'm always so quick to do like an event that's for Black excellence or for the Black community, because it reminds me of those experiences that I had at my HBCU. Being around a lot of Black success was very monumental for me and really helped mold me into the person I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up in the world. And I don't think I would have seen that as much if I had decided to go to a PWI.
I believe historically Black colleges and universities are the crown jewels of the American college education system. Don't believe me? Let's find out. Now I'm about to do something I've never done before, but before I do that, to support what I do in this community, would you please click the like button and click the repost? That really helps get these videos out there and helps me. And if you don't follow me, I'd appreciate it if you did. Now, what am I talking about? Every single video I've ever done, I've done completely from memory. For the first time ever, I'm going to use a list because I really want to get these numbers right about the historically Black colleges in America. Okay, are you ready? There's over 100 of them, 4 medical schools, which is crazy. The first one, I'm doing this still from memory, is in Cheney, Pennsylvania, the longest school, and that was founded in 1837, almost 200 years ago. Now, to be defined as an HBCU, they had to exist prior to the Civil Rights Act, and their main focus had to be the further education of Black American students. Okay, so now we know the definitions. Let me just tell you a little bit about what's going on in the world that came out of these historically Black colleges. 85% of Black doctors came from there. And by the way, I'm going to skip the word Black because it's going to get repetitive. 80% of federal judges, 75% of PhDs, 75% of military officers, 75% of veterinarians, 50% of pharmacists, 50% of attorneys, 45% of business executives, 40% dentists, 50% engineers. Historically Black colleges only make up about 3% of the college population, but they have as students about 10% of Black Americans, but yet still put out 20% of all Black college graduates who are Black Americans. Again, I'm pretty good at math, and even I know you only have 10% of the students, but you put out 20% of the graduates. That's a 2-to-1 ratio. That is freaking fantastic. These schools are amazing, and I think one of the reasons they're so good is because they're such lean, mean operations. Not because they want to be, because society has forced them to be. Yes, white America and our government has turned a blind eye and shunned these colleges. You don't believe me? Whether you like Donald Trump or not, he actually signed a bill that guarantees the historically Black colleges $255 million a year. It's $250 million from now on, because these university administrators had to come hat in hand to DC every year to ask for funding. Now I'm going to piss you off even more. Harvard University has a $50 billion endowment. Do you know the total endowment of all historically Black colleges and universities in America? A little over $5 billion. Let's do the math on that. That Harvard University has an equivalent endowment to 1,000 historically Black colleges and universities. Do you see something wrong here, people? Just a little? Did you let that sink in? Do you see kind of how this is going wrong? Despite all these problems, historically Black colleges have overcame all this. Their graduates, being polled, are some of the happiest college graduates in a college education system here in America. These schools have found a way to integrate education, preparing their students for the real world, not just underwater basket weaving degrees. And another really amazing thing about these schools is while white America, these big universities, Harvard, Yale, these Ivy League assholes, Michigan, while they allowed no Black students forever, these historically Black colleges that have existed since 1837 have been open to all races. Isn't that ironic? They're also some of the lowest cost tuitions in the country. Now, the thing about it is, Harvard and these schools have these big, huge, gleaming, multi-billion-dollar campuses. And some of these HBCUs are in really small places. Where I'm from, there are 4 of them. Shorter College, which is a 400-something people. Philander Smith, 400-something people. I think Arkansas Baptist we have there. And then University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is about 2,500 enrollment, which has also put 29 players drafted in the NFL in the last 59 years. Out of a school of 2,500. They gave us Hall of Fame offensive left tackle Willie Rofe, and they gave us Torrey Hunter of the Minnesota Twins, who will soon be in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame in the next few years. So I'm just saying, these schools have put out really famous people. We know Vice President Kamala Harris. We know W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King. I mean, so many successful Black Americans came from this school. And it amazes me that our own country doesn't pay more attention to these schools, because they're producing graduates who have gone out into this country and just in 150 years went from 0 to well over $1 trillion GDP in that community. And I'm going to keep saying that number over and over in case you've heard it before. That's freaking incredible. So while I can no way show respect and cover all the amazing history of these historically Black colleges and universities in America, I'm going to start doing a series on the ones that I'm really fascinated with, because I've fallen in love with these universities. Morgan State, Wilberforce, Langston University, Tuskegee. I can go on and on. So I think I'm just going to do a series on each school that I come across. And Wilberforce is going to be my first. So I hope you found this educational. Please click the like button. Please repost this, as this helps this channel. And as always, have a great night.
Welcome back to the Freedom Room, where we uncover the stories that shape America but are often forgotten or overlooked. Today, we are exploring the powerful history of historical Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, and their rise as centers of education, leadership, and opportunities. For generations after slavery, many Black Americans were denied access to colleges and universities because of segregation and discrimination. But instead of allowing those barriers to define their future, communities came together to build institutions where Black students could receive higher education, develop leadership skills, and prepare to transform society, from producing civil rights leaders and scientists to politicians, artists, doctors, and entrepreneurs. HBCUs became engines of progress and hope. How did these schools emerge? Why were they so important in shaping Black America? And why do they still matter in 2026? Stay with us as we uncover the remarkable story of HBCUs. First, let's watch some more clips together, and when we return, we'll explore their history and their lasting impact. Stay tuned to the Freedom Room and subscribe to the channel. Like and share.
They call them historically Black colleges and universities. But the reason they exist? Because white America refused to let us in. HBCUs were born out of segregation. After the Civil War, Black students were banned from most colleges, so we built our own. Howard, Spelman, Tuskegee, places where Black excellence wasn't the exception, it was the entire mission. But here's what they don't teach. Even after integration, HBCUs were starved of funding. States gave more money to white institutions, even when Black schools had more students. Federal grants and land-grant funds were delayed, diverted, or denied. And today, HBCUs graduate a disproportionate number of Black doctors, judges, and engineers on half the resources. Still think this is about merit? Why are schools built from survival still being punished for thriving? How different would Black education look if HBCUs were fully funded from day one? And should every underfunded HBCU receive retroactive compensation, like a debt that's long overdue? Follow and share.
You know how there's the HBCUs, which stands for the historically Black college universities? If we were to say there's an HWCU and say it's historically white college university, would we be called racists? That's a yes.
There's a fundamental lack of knowledge and understanding of the history of the country we live in by the majority of the people in this country who don't look like me. To come online and say, if white people had white-only schools, that they will be racist. Well, here's a brief history as to why HBCUs exist. It wasn't until 1954 with Brown versus Board of Education that schools were legally desegregated, meaning prior to that, black people were not allowed to go to the better schools with white people. We weren't allowed to go to white hospitals. We weren't allowed to use white facilities. Therefore, we had to build our own. This is a very popular picture of a little girl named Ruby Bridges, who's still alive today and only in her 60s, where the National Guard had to escort her to school because she was the first black girl to desegregate a school, and they had to protect her from white adults from hurting her. There were riots, there were protests. So to answer your question, revert to this image, cut to every time we did build our own, you burned it, you destroyed it, you eminent domained it, you built highways through it, or you flooded it. Seneca Village, Lake Lanier, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, just to name a few. I could never understand how people can come online and make statements like this with their chest without picking up the phone. We have the world encyclopedia in our palm. Just to Google, why do HBCUs exist? And as a white person, not to understand that PWIs are the standard in America and 90% of the colleges are white institutions still to today. Those white institutions segregated and discriminated against us. HBCUs and black people have never discriminated against anyone else. To be white in this country means to be discriminatory. And that's just a status quo for what it means to be black. I was having this conversation this weekend with my cousin about how much energy it takes to be racist. And he said, well, you know, a lot of people are just misinformed, and that ignorance is weaponized by the right in order to make them think that people are taking their jobs they would never do, that black people are getting ahead because of D&I, which is why D&I existed, because we were actually systematically, legally discriminated upon. When I thought about that and I saw this video, I'm like, oh, this is a simple education thing. This country doesn't teach the real history of this country, because 90% of white people, let's just say I'm going to go high on that figure, majority of white people in this country don't have any exposure to black people. Unless you live on the coast or you're in a major city, you don't really have exposure to anyone else but your rural white town. So why would you know anything about HBCUs? Why would you know anything about why D&I or affirmative action exists? Why would you believe anything outside the realm of what you live in? So I implore you, sir, pick up a book, learn the history of the country we live in, and understand why black institutions had to be built, because we were not allowed to be American, the very thing that we are.
In 1870, just 5 years after the Civil War, a school called the Preparatory High School for Colored Youth opened in Washington, D.C. It became the first public high school for black students in the United States. Now, the school started in the basement of 15th Street Presbyterian Church. That's what was available, and they made it work. The school was made possible by William Syphax, the first president of DC's Board of Trustees for Colored Schools, which was established in 1868. He fought for this school to exist and for black students to receive the same education as their white peers. By the 1890s, the school had a staff full of black scholars. One of them was Anna Julia Cooper, who later became the principal. In 1925, she became one of the first black women in U.S. history to earn a PhD. And most black schools were underfunded and overcrowded. This school here taught Latin, calculus, literature, and science. And colleges around the country took notice too, including Ivy League schools, and they actively recruited from this school, even during segregation. Now, the school was renamed M Street High School in 1891 and Dunbar High School in 1916. This was in honor of the poet Paul Laurence Dunbar. This facility right behind me opened in 2013, but make no mistake, it's more than just a school building. This is a monument of what happens when students are believed in, invested in, and expected to lead. Dunbar High School, the first public high school for black students in the United States of America, right here in the nation's capital. How's that for some black history?
The clips you just watched reveals that HBCUs were born from a struggle for equal opportunities After the Civil War and the end of slavery, newly freed Black Americans understood that education was one of the most powerful tools for building independence and changing their future. During the late 19th century and the 20th centuries, colleges such as Howard University, Fisk University, and Tuskegee University became symbols of achievement and determination. These institutions trained generations of teachers, lawyers, doctors, scientists, activists, and community leaders at the time when many other universities refused to admit Black students. HBCUs also play a major role in civil rights movement, providing spaces where students organized debated ideas and challenged injustice. Leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. were shaped by the educational environment created by this institution. The HBCUs were not only about fighting discrimination, they were also about excellence. They produced groundbreaking professionals who contributed to science, medicine, politics, businesses, and culture. So let me ask you this. Why do you think education became one of the most powerful tools for Black communities after slavery? And do you believe that HBCUs are still as important today as they were in the past? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Continue watching more clips, and when we return, we'll discuss why this legacy of HBCUs continue to influence America today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to the Freedom Room. Watch to the end. Subscribe.
This is the University of Maryland, and a new report shows that it has a history deeply intertwined with slavery. The university's founder enslaved 52 people, and one of the university's earliest trustees enslaved 55 people. That trustee even married the daughter of the person who enslaved Frederick Douglass. This all comes from a new report by a group of researchers and staff at the University of Maryland called the 1856 Project. It's an effort that's being funded for almost $1 million by the university's first Black president. Of course, Maryland isn't the only university with a history like this. Johns Hopkins founder was also someone who enslaved people. Link in bio if you want to read the full story.
Well, that didn't take long, did it? But the guy that is the suspect is white. Yet somehow, it's the fault of Black people. I'm telling you, bro, traditional American history right here in the making. Let's blame the Black folk again for a white life that was lost. Not even at the hands of them. It's always blame the immigrants and blame Black people. There you have it. Now you have traditionally Black colleges receiving multiple death threats every day. His friends that are white supremacists got upset. And now they want to blame Black people. But they didn't shoot him. It was one of your own. It was one of your own people. So my question is this: what the fuck do we have to do with anything in white people business?
Vaughn, why did you decide to come to A&T?
Well, I live here in Greensboro, and I waited too late to be accepted anywhere else, so I decided to come to A&T.
A&T fairly easy to get into, or what?
In a way, more than other schools probably.
What do you think about the standards here as compared to maybe University of North Carolina, Greensboro?
Oh, well, I'm not sure about the other colleges, so they might be the same as A&T, but most people say A&T is not as high standard as the other colleges, but I'm not sure about that.
Did you try to get into any of the other colleges?
No, not really. My father wanted me to go to college.
Why did you apply to only Black schools? You could have gone anywhere. Nobody's forcing you to go here. Why did you only apply to Black schools?
Well, like I said, I thought I could do better at a Black school, and most of the schools that I have gone to all my life, I've been going to Black schools,
So now, because of the demise of Charlie Kirk, we now have terror threats at our HBCUs. It wasn't a Black person that done it. In case y'all haven't seen The Person of Interest, I will show you the photo. That don't look like a black person to me. It doesn't look like a person of color to me. Black Americans don't have anything to do with white on white crime. Y'all cannot hold us accountable for what y'all done to y'allself. In order to reject political violence, you have to reject the head of office in the United States of America. And y'all Christian nationalists, y'all have no problem with the political violence that this administration has had against Black American immigrants, the LGBTQIA community. Y'all have no problems with the political violence against women, black women, our homeless population, poor people. It wasn't a DEI hire that did it. To sit up here and to call yourself Christians, yet you applaud what's happening over in Palestine and in Gaza, the very place where Jesus Christ was born. Understand, we will definitely be protecting our family and friends, our children who are at HBCUs. They had nothing to do with what happened with Charlie Kirk. It wasn't a person that looked like me. It was one that looked just like him that did it. So rotate it and back it up.
Finally, some good news in U.S. higher education enrollment growth in historically black colleges and universities. According to data from fall of 2025, there's been a 4.7% growth in enrollments at historically black colleges and universities, or HBCUs. This enrollment growth at HBCUs, which has been going on for the past few years, contrasts with falling enrollments at many of the country's universities and colleges. There are 99 HBCUs in the United States, and not all of them are experiencing growth, but the major ones are. The reasons are numerous. There's been an institutional focus on improving academics and retention rates, and this has been coupled with a number of major gifts. Bloomberg Philanthropies has donated $600 million to 4 historically black medical schools. And philanthropist Mackenzie Scott has given a total of $1 billion to a number of individual HBCUs. Recently, 15 HBCUs have banded together to pursue a goal of achieving R1 or Research 1 status. By achieving R1 status, universities can more easily recruit top-notch faculty as well as recruit students. Right now, Howard University is the only HBCU that has R1 status. The Trump administration's moves to eliminate DEI programs and initiatives from U.S. campuses and universities have also driven more black students to HBCUs. Tuition fees at HBCUs can be less than their non-HBCU counterparts. Enrollments at HBCUs of students who are not black has also increased. In 1976, students who are not black made up 15% of enrollments at HBCUs. In 2022, that number has increased to 24%. It's so great to have some good news in higher ed.
Now that you have seen the bigger picture, one thing is clear. The rise of HBCUs represented a story of resilience, determination, and the belief that education can change generations. These institutions were created during a time when opportunities were deliberately limited, yet they became a place where black students could discover their potentials and prepare to lead. Today, HBCUs continue to educate thousands of students, preserve important cultural traditions, and contribute to American workforce, research, and innovations. Their story reminded us that progress often comes from communities creating opportunities when doors are closed to them. In 2026, the conversation about the future of HBCUs continue as people discuss funding, accessibility, diversity, the role these institutions will play in the next generation of leaders. What do you think is the greatest contribution HBCUs have made to America? Should their history receive more attention in schools? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please support this Freedom Room by subscribing, by liking this video, sharing it with your friends and families, and by turning on the notification bell so you won't miss out on our next post. Thank you for watching. This is the Freedom Room. Thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for subscribing. Stay tuned. We'll see you in the next video.